Hi, my name's Megan. I'm a therapist and coach, and you're listening to Career Congregation Podcast. I created this podcast to inspire people in their careers. After spending hundreds of hours working with clients, one thing I noticed that so many people have in common is just how many people truly don't enjoy their work, or worse, hate what they do every day. I created this podcast to help people start to make changes in their everyday life so they too can find work they love. Every week, I speak with people who've made changes, taken risks, or built careers in ways that feel meaningful to them. These conversations are here to offer real life inspiration, perspective, stories, and practical ideas you can apply in your own life, whatever your industry or whatever career stage you're at. If you enjoy these interviews and are curious about what it's like to work with me one-to-one, you can find details of how to work with me in the show notes. Thank you and enjoy. Hello. Welcome everyone to this week's episode of Career Congregation. I'm excited to once again be joined by my friend and nutritional coach, Chris Holt, dialing in from the US right now. This is the third time that we have had the pleasure of his company on the podcast. He's becoming a regular guest every sort of 6-ish months. He comes on and does a check-in with us. So welcome, Chris. How are you today?
I'm good. Happy 2026.
Yeah, I know. And last week of the snake in Chinese astrology.
Last week?
It's literally the last week. And I have to say that has been reflected across so many things that I'm seeing with, like, through people that I'm working with, through friends, through family, like things that are dropping off, things that are ending. It's really like it's definitely real.
Weird. Because I knew about the snake and the horse, and I was like, oh man, last year was a shit show, but then the shedding and this is forward momentum and all this stuff. But now that you've broken it down to this week, that even makes more sense because of, I don't know, things that are going on.
Well, I mean, because we can look at our personal lives, but then you also look at politically, and it's like wild. I was going to use a lot of swear words there, but I'm just going to refrain myself. It's nuts out there. Yeah. You have had a lot of things happen since we last had you on. It was like you were just kind of coming out of what had been a little bit of a stressful time.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So I moved here July-ish.
Yeah, and I think it was August. It was August that I had you on because I was in the US. So yeah, that was August. But what I think is really great about that transition is that you are such living proof of how being in the right environment allows you to really like dig in and blossom, essentially, right? Like to root and grow.
I was raised Catholic. I would say that I am not religious whatsoever, but as I've gotten older, I think energy, spirituality, like that has been more of just a natural progression.
Mm-hmm.
And I think coming out of that past relationship, being in a relationship that was toxic in many ways, I guess I've never been in a situation where that was affecting work, right? And I saw while I was in that relationship, my business just started tanking. And I thought, oh, it's seasonal, or, oh, I don't know what's going on. I just didn't correlate it to the relationship. And then the moment I left is when I had, everything went up. And so I think that's with energy. And then I had a client, actually, an old client that I haven't worked with in years. I actually stayed with her because her and her husband live in Denver, and I was driving back through Denver to get to Utah. So I stayed with her, and she said, Chris, I didn't know how to say anything, or I wanted to say something. I didn't know how to reach out, but I was talking to my husband, and I was just saying, something's wrong with Chris. And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, just your energy and your posts and all of it. And I was like, oh no. So the fact that someone else could pick up on that, I thought was illuminating. But it really is, it further emphasizes the fact to me that the person you choose to be with is one of the most important choices you're ever going to make in your life, because
Yeah.
I think we've said this before, that person can either be jet fuel towards your goals or an anchor. And in that situation, she was an anchor. And I'm not saying that it was all her, right? Because it's a two-way street, right? But I just don't think we were a good fit.
Well, and I think when you look at energies, which is a really big thing that I like to do with clients, is have them do a bit of like an energetic audit of how they feel after they've spent time with people. And obviously there's some people you can't control, like family or like people that you have to work with.
Mm-hmm.
But as with relationships, like a personal relationship, especially a romantic one, if you're like depleted after you're with this person, then it's not a balanced giving and receiving. Mm-hmm. And like more is being taken from you than you are receiving. And that can happen. There can be peaks and troughs. But when it's like a long-term thing, especially when it drains you to the point where it's like, you're not sleeping well, you're always stressed out, you're like constantly arguing, or it's like, it's such a drain and it's a block.
Yeah.
For other things coming in.
I think once I got back to Utah, everything that I basically manifested in my mind happened. And I think the idea of manifestation, I have feelings about it, pros and cons to it, but I hate to use this term, but I feel like, and I don't know if I've said this before in the last time we talked, but I just feel in alignment with everything I'm doing. And I think it's evident based on my business growing, starting a new business, other opportunities with other projects. It all kind of just it's moving in the right direction. And I think that was all based on energy and where you are, who you surround yourself with, right?
Okay. So energy, being in the right place, super important. I have also noticed that in my own kind of life, because it's been absolutely chaotic for me.
A lot of transition.
So I've been in so many different places, but the last 2 months, I would say, I've really I've observed it, and I've realized like how much I need to regulate when I'm going to new locations. So any new location that I go to now, I make sure that I spend at least a month there, so I have time to really settle. So I just did a month in the south of Portugal in the Algarve with my friend, and we like rented a villa, and it was very peaceful, and I had lots of really good sleep. But it was the off season, so lots of stuff was closed, and there was no gym, and it's really bad weather. Like when I say really bad, I don't mean like cloudy. I mean like there was like hurricanes battering the coast. So I couldn't even really, there was some days where it was fine, but there was a lot of days where I was like, I just need to go outside and like do some push-ups or something. And I couldn't. And so that made me a little stir crazy. Now I'm in Porto, which is in the north of Portugal. The weather is still horrendous, but it's a city. I'm in a really nice Airbnb. Like I really love it. And my space is really nice. And there's a gym right down the road. And I've gone every day since I got here. So,
I mean, that's one thing that I just living on any place that has a coast, it's hurricanes. Like Miami was the worst. I just said, if I could make a place home, I just don't want to deal with hurricanes because
I didn't realize, but like, because I was like, oh, I'll go to Portugal and escape winter in Ireland, and I didn't.
Yeah.
Today I was like, I think the weather is actually worse here than Ireland.
Oh, geez.
It's not as cold, but it's really bad.
Yeah. I'll take the worst thing we have here in Utah is inversions, which is just like pollution. So like when like a forest fire from California happens, that goes into
you guys have that like dip, right?
bowl. So then if there's not another storm system coming through, it just sits there, which is not great, because at first, when I first saw it, I was like, look at all this fog. And they're like, get inside, that's pollution. I was like, oh, but that's like I mean, earthquakes, maybe. Like I felt something a week ago and it was like 7 a.m. And it just happened. I wake up and then my bed is shaking. I was like, what was that? But that's not like a California.
Yeah, I mean, I've experienced them in California. Never a big one, but yeah.
So I'm like, I can deal with that. But living in Miami,
the inversion. So what? Like, you need like a ton of wind to like blow it out? Is that the?
Yeah, just another storm system or some type of precipitation. I think usually helps. Like, it's never good when you're driving around and you can't see the mountains. You're like, oh no, I literally can't see anything. It's just gray, because you should be able to see the mountains all the time in any direction, because we're in a bowl. So the days where you can't see them, you're like, that's not good.
Well, so as soon as I got, not the first day that I got to Porto, it was just pouring with rain, but that was on Saturday. But since Sunday, and now it's Wednesday, it's like San Francisco fog.
Oh,
so it's pouring with rain, it's crazy winds, and the visibility is like, I can just see the building across the street and that's it. There's no horizon. There's nothing.
I kind of dig that. Like
I mean, I took a cool video like in the evening of like cars coming down the street. It was kind of cool, but like I'm like, all right, I really need to see the sun. I'm starting to go a little crazy. I like need a day of sunshine. So yeah. So this has been a good experiment for me, and it's like so much cheaper than London or Ireland. It's not even funny. I'm paying a third here of what I pay in Ireland.
Didn't you tell me when you first got there, you're like, this is my place? Like, and I thought, oh shit, she's gonna move there? Like,
well, it's because basically I really want to, like, I want to be in the EU, right? Which I'm ticking that box with Ireland. But Ireland, because it is so expensive, and it's just, I want to be on the continent, right? Like Spain, Italy, Portugal, France. Those are like Mediterranean-y kind of, that's my vibe, right? So I'd like to be able to split my time between the two. Ireland's really great in the summer, actually, when the rest of Europe is on fire. So I kind of wanted somewhere more temperate to pass the winter and the colder months. So I think it's probably going to be Spain. Yeah. So it's been a good experiment, and I'm glad I've been here and I've experienced it. And I am starting to notice that things are picking up now that, like, last month I was really grounded, and this month I'm like tucked into Porto, and I've got like lots of good things going on with the podcast, and I've like just got a couple of new clients. So I'm like, okay, the energy is responding to me, like being a bit more rooted. And I've got my place in Dublin booked for like 6 months from March when I go back. And I think that was something that my nervous system really needed. Like, instead of having everything up in the air and like so much uncertainty, it makes a really big difference.
Yeah, I think it's, I don't know if it's just as we get older, we become more attuned to those things.
Yeah. Because I was so good at like living out of a bag when I was younger, but I need a little bit more stability now.
When I see people just live out of a backpack, I'm like, that's just, there's nothing about that life that seems enticing to me. You know, I love to travel, but I want a home base.
Well, I like to travel too, but I realize I want it to be nice.
Yeah, well, agreed. You know, like I'm at a point in my life where I'm like, I'm bougie and I'm going to spend the money for the experience, and that's fine. But I don't think I could just like, because I have a friend that literally sometimes takes a picture. Her and her family, they're always traveling with their kids, mind you, and she'll take a picture of her backpack. She's like, "This is all I own." I'm like, that's it.
No, it's really been hard for me to get stuff into. Even here, I have 3 huge suitcases. I'm gonna have to send a suitcase to Dublin because I can't take them. Well, I mean, I could take them all on the plane, but it would be extortionate. It's cheaper to send it. So, Yeah, okay, I like nice things, but I don't even think I would go so far as to say that I'm bougie, but I need to be comfortable. And I tried to scrimp on that in the first place that I tried to live in Ireland. I
Oh,
and
yeah.
it would I was very bad. So
Like, unless you have to, cool. But yeah, I'm not a
yeah.
fan where
I
I'm like,
where the corners that I'm gonna cut of like places where I'm gonna save money, I'm no longer trying to do that on accommodation. It
mhm.
needs to have all of my creature comforts and then some. I need super high speed internet. I need a really comfortable bed, really
Yep,
nice soft bedding,
yep.
like preferably my own kitchen. Although a couple of places I've stayed have had shared kitchens and that's been kind of nice too to meet people. But like I need my own bathroom, I need my own bedroom, I need high speed internet, I'd like a TV, you know.
I don't think that's asking too much.
Yeah. I'm in my 40s, okay? I can't afford to buy a house, but I can afford to have my own bathroom, okay?
Yeah, look, I mean,
Done.
that's the other thing I keep on like the idea of owning a home. I think it's just been ingrained into us because of our age, right? But I was talking to some friends recently that live in my building, and they're like, we could buy a home, but it makes zero sense
Yeah,
because
I
just,
kind of am over it. I
yeah,
feel like it's not enticing for me at all. Yeah.
no, because it costs you more money in the end. You're not even guaranteed to make money, right?
Hmm.
And then, like they were talking about, they were looking at a house, but then they thought, oh, we'd have this house, we have the mortgage that's more expensive than our rent, and there are no amenities. And if something
Yeah,
breaks, it's like, yeah, my building has everything, right?
and there's so many taxes as well when you're a homeowner now.
Yeah, and then HOAs and all this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, no, thank you. And I think that's what is happening more often now is that I'm seeing that on social media a lot where people like to give their financial advice and they're like, if you're
Hmm.
this age or whatever, just rent. It makes zero sense to own. And
Yeah.
then the other
And
people
then
were like,
you have more freedom. Like it's much easier to get out of it if you don't want to be there.
exactly. Because
But
yeah, you buy a house and you're in it for 30 years, right? If you want
yeah.
to.
So you are renting the very nice place that you're in because I remember when you got there and you did me like the little like walkthrough tour. The gym is amazing. Our building has so many amenities.
Yeah.
It's absolutely like if I lived in your complex, I would just never leave.
Yeah, my friends who live down the hall, Rachel has been here for 9 years.
And good. I bet she loves it. Maybe
Yeah.
buy in your building.
I don't know if they have that option, to be honest. I know that they have Airbnbs. So
Yep.
there's some
See,
units.
I would buy for that.
So maybe,
That's like
but
always. I mean, my last, aside from the couple months in Galway, since July, I've been living in Airbnbs. They're
yeah, I
my
mean,
landlord.
yeah, I mean, there's some people who are like, well, yeah, just buy, but then make it a, rental. And I'm like, yeah, but then now you're a landlord, and then there's, you know, the things that come with that. But yeah, ultimately, I'm so happy with where I'm at. Location within Salt Lake is amazing. So I'm not gonna really change anything.
And so some of the developments that have occurred for you since you found your feet in this place and it's been going really well, it appears that one of them is what I was referencing.
You're referencing
There
this.
we go. What is
It's
this? Tell us what this is.
okay. So this is a protein powder that we launched a week before Black Friday of last year. It's an unflavored beef protein powder. So as most people know, there are a lot of people out there that don't digest whey, dairy, or even plant-based proteins, right? And that's me,
I
right?
mean, the dairy ones I can kind of do, but they all the plant-based ones make me super bloated.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so there was a company that was originally paying me as like a sponsor to do social media posts. And obviously I only promote products that I actually take, and I really like their protein powder. So I was like, oh man, a beef protein powder. This is awesome. Zero digestive issues. It's bioavailable because it's beef, and it's unflavored, so I can mix it whatever I want. Because for me, the flavorings and the natural flavors and the sweeteners and stevia and monk fruit, all those things just have the worst aftertaste for me. So I'm just like, but more importantly, if you want a banana smoothie, add a freaking banana, don't do a banana flavor, right? And so I liked the idea of it. And then eventually over time, they didn't renew their contract. And all my clients were taking their protein powder. So then, like, I had always wanted to launch a protein powder, but then it just made me think, well, why don't I just find their supplier? And then,
Do your own.
that's what all supplement companies really do. And so I found their supplier, and then it really pissed me off because I asked for the testing of what's in it. And they got back to me, and it's a proprietary blend. So they can't tell you. And that really pissed me off because I'm like,
oh, that's not good, right?
Cool, right? So then I said, can you at least tell me what percentage of beef is in this protein powder? And they came back and they're like, it is 85% collagen, 15% beef.
Isn't that so when you say, okay, so it's good that they told you, but isn't that illegal?
As
or
long
you're
as
allowed to do that in the US?
Threshold, you can just say it's beef. But more importantly, because it's a trademark blend, it's called Hydro Beef. They don't need to disclose it anyway. They can just say it's beef. So then I'm like, look, there's nothing wrong with collagen, but it's not a complete protein. Mm-hmm. And then I looked at other beef protein powders, and most of them are 85-15, 80-20, heavy on collagen because collagen is cheaper.
Yeah.
But then they'll charge you as if you're buying more beef. And that pissed me off, and I was like, oh, we're going to rework this. So I met with a contract manufacturer down here. We tested out. I was like, you know what? Through these companies, I want 100% beef. So I tried 100% beef. Oh. Whoa, this is too beefy. It's like there's no amount of peanut butter that gets rid of the beef flavor. So unless you drink a cold beef smoothie, which 99% of people probably don't want to do. So I said, okay, what is the ratio that we can get away with where you're getting more beef, but we're not overpowering it with beef? Because again, all protein powders will have collagen and beef. I just wanted to get more beef in there.
Yeah.
So we're able to do a 60-40 blend. So it's 60% collagen, 40% beef.
Okay.
We're getting a true 20% or 20 grams of protein, where Equip, when we did the calculations, it was 17.8, which they claim it's 20. And that's also false advertising. Mm-hmm. The original bags, they said 1 scoop of our protein powder equals a 4-ounce steak, which they got into because people started doing Reddit threads. I tested the protein powder. It's mostly collagen. And then Equip changed all their bags. So now it doesn't state any of that because it was false advertising.
Yeah.
So I'm like, that's annoying. So anyway, so we got to a 60-40 blend, and it actually has less. Even though it has more beef, we found a beef powder that had less of a beef flavor because also their proprietary blend not only does it have collagen and beef, but it also has other fillers in there. Mm-hmm. You could tell because when you get it on your hands, it's sticky. And then when you use our powder, it's just a powder, right? Like it's fine. It mixes very easily.
And so it really is flavorless.
So if you were to mix this with just straight water, small hint of a beef flavor. But when you mix it with real whole food, it literally gets completely, it disappears. Well, even to the point where I have some people reaching out saying, hey, I mixed it in my tea. I'm like, just black tea? And they're like, yeah, just a little pinch of salt, the beef powder. It was great. I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even try that. People put it in their coffee.
I mean, I've not ordered any supplements or anything in the last few months because it's just been too much travel. But when I get back to Dublin, I fully plan on ordering up all the things. But I used to just wake up and it was like my morning routine to mix collagen and protein in my coffee.
Yeah. So people put this in their coffee. Most people I've had people say, oh, I mixed it with my soup, right? Or I mixed it into any smoothie recipe you want to create. And I have my favorite smoothie recipes on the back of the bag. So we launched and it's been a very positive response. I think we have almost 80 reviews at this point, and all of them are 5-star. So like it's nice to see that, because it's also, when you launch a product like this, it's also nerve-wracking. It's like, maybe I'm the only one that likes this. Like, what if people were like,
no, I think it's a real, like, I've talked to so many people about protein powders, and I'm like, what, like, I don't know, was the original reason that they were created for vegans because vegans don't get enough protein? I was like, why are they all plant-based. There needs to be one that's actually like real protein.
I mean, look, plant-based protein is protein, right? It's just
Yeah.
not as bioavailable. Whey and whey isolate, honestly, are very good sources of protein if you can handle them. And
Yeah.
there are a large population of people that just don't handle lactose or dairy, or for me, even whey isolate gives me bubble guts. I just don't feel good. So I'm not going to say that those things are bad at all. They just don't work for me, right?
Yeah.
So I wanted something that I knew, hey, I can get 2 scoops, 40 grams of protein every single day. It's my favorite smoothie. I mean, I literally have it every day. And more importantly, I've noticed this since having my protein opposed to the Equip, not only aesthetically, but performance-based, I feel like I notice a difference in my physique and
Wow.
how I feel,
Aesthetically.
yeah, in the gym. And even when I went to the doctor's office like last week for just a checkup on my heart, they had a weigh-in. I'm always 160, 165. And then I weighed in because I don't weigh myself. And I was like, is that right? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, 171. And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, I feel lean. I'm like, oh shit.
Wow.
Nice. So I'm like, okay, cool. Right. And so,
More muscle.
yeah. And right, after 40, we just need more protein to build muscle or even maintain it. So for all my clients, which 99% of them are women, they all struggle to eat enough protein anyway.
Really?
So
99%.
I have 134 clients right now. I work with 2 dudes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe 3, but it's literally 2 or 3.
Yeah.
So all my female clients all struggle with protein intake. Because a lot of them are like, I just can't eat another piece of chicken or steak or fish or eggs. I can't. I'm like, that's fine. Like, we can supplement, right? So that has drastically helped them. And they all say the same thing. They're like, oh my gosh, this is like, there's no aftertaste. I'm like, I know. That's the great thing. Like,
oh my God, I can't wait to order some. I'm so excited. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's great. So like for me, I'm really proud of it. I mean, now it's the challenge, right, of marketing and how do we grow this? And so there's been it's all the growing pains of it, but it's a new stressor because I'm relying on so many different people, right? Which is challenging.
And what a process and a learning curve to like have a physical product that you had to source the ingredients. And then I remember you were sending me pictures and you were like, what do you think about the packaging? And like, what should I call it? And like, it's like a lot to think about.
It's a lot. And we wanted to go with
and I love this. This is the one that I said I liked.
Yes, this is like the dragons.
Oh yeah.
Because of my tattoos. And then I wanted something that felt a little more high end, right? So that's why we went with this kind of colorway. And so what's great is that the other ones, when we have other products like creatine and other things like that, this color would just be a different pastel color. But yeah, and we got the, I was able to register the trademarks. So that's been kind of great, and a learning curve as well. And that gets very expensive, but yeah, it was so different for me because I've always coached people, and it's like a coaching product, service, cool. But a physical product, it's completely different.
Did you just say that you're going to do a creatine as well?
Yeah, so we're talking about a creatine monohydrate. We're talking about electrolyte capsules. And then we will get into flavors, but the only way that I'm going to be okay with flavors if we use a maple syrup powder or a honey powder. Those would be the only sweeteners.
Yeah.
So that's later down the road, and we would be doing.
What about agave?
Agave, I don't know. I mean, I guess they maybe make it in a powder form. I just don't like the flavor of agave. So
I like.
For me, we would do the first flavor would be a chocolate peanut butter. So we would use like a raw cacao, sea salt, cinnamon, vanilla extract, and then we would test out the maple syrup or the honey, because the honey, both of them would give it a different flavor profile. Those would be the only ingredients. And that's going back to just being basic, right? Like, so that's launched, and that's been really great. We did a mini documentary that was released on the 1st of this month. That's on the website. So that's been kind of cool to see that out there. And then actually, I just had a call yesterday with a company called Merch Labs and make apparel. And I've always been against apparel because I'm like, we're not an apparel brand, right? But it's good marketing. But every apparel brand needs minimums. They need a setup fee and all this stuff. And so they reached out to me. They said, hey, we work with a guy. His handle's Iron Sanctuary, and I know him. He's got a massive following, but he actually has like a clothing line. So they do a whole clothing line for him. But they said, well, we don't want to do that with you. We just want to offer merch for your brand. And so I had a call with them. I'm like, okay, I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. Like, how does this all work? How much do I have to put down? And the way they do business is crazy. They're like, there are no minimums. You don't have to pay anything right now. So what happens is we list the products on our website. We can give you a link, and it's just someone orders it, they make it, ship it. So there's no inventory.
Oh, this is great. This needs to be the future of products, because otherwise
you're sitting on mediums.
It's impossible to know how much to make. Yeah.
So they said it's made to order. So it's like, and they've been doing it for 15 years. And I'm like, what? That's amazing. And so they just get a percentage, I get a percentage, and then that's it, right? I'm like, dude, easy.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer.
But then I said, I wear a lot of the auto trucker hats. And he's like, we got those. I'm like, I like pink. And he's like, yeah, I think your logo, this basic AF Dragon. They said, oh, that would look cool on a hat and or a big t-shirt. And I'm like, oh, I'm also in my Billie Eilish phase where I'm just wearing oversized shirts. So like, can you make me a big logo? They're like, yeah. So I sent him the artwork, and he says, yeah, I'm going to send you out free shirts, a couple hats for free. Wear them, see how you like them, and then we can get this thing launched. I'm like, let's go. So I had some sent out to my business partner as well. So I'm kind of excited about that, because I'm like, that's amazing. Like, I don't have to put any money down, right? So that's kind of exciting.
Yeah, that's very exciting. And then on another front, because you touched on, so you did a documentary about.
So then my other project is, I'm in the works to make a legit documentary partially about Korean adoption, and then about our birth parent search. Like, so me and my triple siblings. So it's a long story, but basically I'm at a point now where I want to go back to Korea, finish the birth parent search that I started 11 years ago.
Wow.
Because it came to a dead end, which again, all of it could be lies. I don't know unless I go out there. So I actually had a call yesterday with a gentleman named Scott Weintraub, and I didn't know who he was, but I have a friend from Edison House, which is a social club here in Salt Lake. She's in the film industry. I actually told her about this pipe dream of making a documentary about it when I first met her a couple years ago. And then I moved back, I reconnected with her. Her and her husband are awesome. I told her, I was like, I'm actually moving forward with this. And she's like, oh my gosh, okay, cool. Let me talk to some people. And then she got me connected with Scott. We jumped on a Zoom call on Monday, and I looked up his IMDb profile, and I mean, it's pretty impressive. He's currently working on a Mr. T documentary.
Oh, nice.
He's worked with Rihanna on some of her ad campaigns. He did something with Lewis Hamilton, the F1 driver, and then Ed Norton.
Wow.
There's a Tell movie that he did. So he's done a lot, and he's closely linked with WME, which is one of the biggest agencies for actors and writers. Like, they're huge. So that he has, because of that. Anyway, we got on. She just said the idea to him in passing, and then he was like, "We need to talk." So I got on a call with him, and he just asked me to tell him the whole story. I did, and he was like, "Dude, this is so
good." Yeah.
And he says, because we are in the time of AI, and he says, I really believe that there is a desire for people that want truth, because everything's AI. Now, you don't know what's real anymore. And he says, what's great about the story is that, first off, you can't write this. It's a crazy story. And based on our adoption records, it is leaning towards the possibility that we were stolen. So if I could prove that.
Oh my God.
yeah, that's even crazier. And Korea has only recently acknowledged the knowledge of it recently. And then I said to Jeremy, I was like, wait, how would you steal a child? He's like, there's different ways they did it. One, they had people sweep streets and just women living on the street with their babies or whatever, just like pick up kids. Because also some kids were just left by a dumpster or in front of a firehouse.
Yeah.
So you sweep streets. But another main one was there were government-funded childcare places, I guess. And so it says, picture this: you're a parent, you drop your kid off at daycare, you come to pick them up, and they're gone. That's how it worked. And then I'm like, what? He's like, that's nightmare fuel for any parent. I'm like, whoa. And so the fact that we were separated at birth leads to us to believe that it's a lot easier to get one or two adopted, not all three. And the guardian on our papers is a guy named Dr. Kim Duck Wang, and he's famous for running an agency called Brothers Home, and they are notorious for stealing children and selling them in the system. So I'm like, that'd be nuts. So I had a really cool call with him. And so he's like, look, I'm gonna pitch this to all my contacts. He's like, Peacock would be great. We could talk to Netflix. He says Hulu, any streaming platform.
Wow.
And he says, look, if someone says no, we're just going to find someone else.
Yeah. This is something someone will pick this up for sure. Yeah.
Because he says, I don't know if you know how movies are made, but you're already in the process of doing this. So the way that I pitch it is, hey, this train is leaving. Do you want to be on it or not? And nice. I'm like, oh, whoa. And he's like, yeah. And I was like, okay. So it was interesting.
Wow, this is so exciting.
Yeah. And he said, Chris, I want to see this made selfishly as a director, but also as a viewer. He said, really, the way we talk about Korean adoption will be purely dependent on what you find in Korea. So if you find out you're stolen, we're going to talk about that, right? If you find out you weren't stolen, but you were given up for whatever reason, we're going to talk about that, right? It's going to be a follow along story. And I think he says it's, you can't write it. And I had a call a week prior with Samantha Peterman, who she made Twinsters. And so she's one of the twin sisters in this documentary. That was like, actually, this is what sparked my birth parent search. I saw this movie and it was like opened up a bunch of things that I didn't know existed. But it's about Samantha, who's identical twin Korean sisters that were separated at birth. And then they find each other 25 years later on the internet. And so she was a filmmaker. She's kind of an actress as well. So she had the foresight to just film everything. So when you watch this, it's a follow along documentary and you're watching everything happen in real time.
Yeah.
So the first Zoom call she has with her twin sister, them meeting for the first, it's pretty compelling. And so I had a call with her and, she says, Chris, you could talk about Korean adoption, but that's a really big thing. And she says, honestly, if it's mostly about that, it's just, to me, it's going to feel like a PBS doc.
And people want a story. They want, if it's personal, right? Yeah.
And then she says, the fact that you're a male and within the Korean culture, men don't talk about emotions. She says, I think that would also be an interesting take on it because you are so open about your emotions. And she's like, I think that would be interesting because, Jeremy said that he wouldn't be part of it if it was just about us.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. And then I told Scott that, and he's like, why? And I said, well, Jeremy said that if someone Googled me and they saw my following on social media, they said, oh, it's just some influencer that just wants to be the hero in his own story. And then Scott laughed and he's like, that has nothing to do with anything. You just happen to do this for work. And this is happening now.
Yeah.
So he says, and then I asked Samantha, would that fall flat if it was just me going to Korea doing the birth parent search? And she's like, no. She's like, that also leads into the conversation about nature versus nurture, right? You have the desire to do this. Even though you're identical, you're all vastly different.
Yeah, and how you've all processed your experience, which is very differently.
Kelly said on the call, she's like, well, what if we could do this? It's like you go to Korea and then you find answers, you come back and then you all three go together again, right? That could also happen. But then Kelly says, would they go if they knew it was fully paid for? And I'm like, I don't see why not. I don't think you would turn down that opportunity, right?
I don't know. I mean, it's pretty I think it's very personal. I mean, as a therapist, I can say that adoption it's a difficult experience for a lot of people. So there's very, very mixed schools of thought on it. Some people feel really grateful and they love their adopted parents as though they're their own and it's never been an issue for them. But for other people, it's really complex, and things that happen when you're an infant, before you have a vocabulary and you don't know what the feelings are, like processing them as an adult, it's a lifetime of work that some people just never even do. So,
and I wonder, and I've thought about this recently, like if I were to go over there by myself and find answers, I almost feel like I don't know why I feel like this, but I feel like I would feel more comfortable experiencing that by myself.
yeah.
Rather than experiencing it with them. And I know that sounds weird.
No, I think it's a very personal thing, even though it happened to the three of you together, right? But it's very personal how you've each taken it on, and lived with it.
Yeah. So fingers crossed. But then I do this whole like hour conversation going from the beginning, right? Talking about the conference I went to in 2020 about Korean adoption, learning more about it, and all the roller coaster of emotions and things that were deep seated that I didn't know existed about how I feel about it, right? I go through all of it, and then Scott says at the end, he says, "So do you know what a treatment is?" I was like, "No." He says, "So everything you just said, I need you to write it down." I was like, "Oh no." I was like, "Oh, so much." He's like, "But send it to me. I will put it in a format for a treatment, and this is what I'm going to go to these people with." And he says, "Also, Google Drive, upload videos, pictures if you have any." I'm like, "I got a million." So I sent him all those. But right after we got off the call, I'm like, "I got to do this." So I sat for like an hour and a half just typing everything up. And I was like, "Okay, good." So now it's out there, and we're just going to see where let the chips fall where they may type of thing. So.
Wow. That's really exciting. I mean, I know that you had mentioned to me that you were doing this, but I didn't realize that it was this far along. And
well, before I met with Scott, I'm working with the videographer that made the mini doc with me. So we're already in pre-production talking about, we're going to go to Denver for it's a conference called KAAN. It's just for Korean adoptees, and it's a lot of nonprofits, and it's just a gathering. It's in Denver. I connected with a woman on Instagram called Deep South Korean. Her name is April. It was so funny. One of her reels came up, and I was like, and it was so funny to me because it was like this Korean woman with the thickest Southern accent. And I was like, wow, she's really good at a Southern accent. And then I looked at her handle like, I'm an idiot. I'm like, that's just her accent. So she's got a large following on social media. So we connected on a call. And one of her friends is also a CAD. She lives in Seoul right now, but she's American. And we just had a call, and she's like, we're doing a documentary right now, but it's telling a very different story. So I think we can maybe do some overlap, some collaboration on this. But then the woman in Korea, I said, what is it? What's the consensus over there, right? With adoption. Chris, this country, these people know nothing about it. And it's becoming a increasingly larger public interest piece in Korean culture. It's evident because in K-pop dramas right now, they're writing in adoption. So people want to know about it. She says the government obviously doesn't want to talk about a lot of the dark stuff, which is natural. But she says also this is a great time to do this because K-pop Demon Hunters, BTS, Physical 100, like anything Korean is just on the rise.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, that's true. Because I saw EJ from K-pop Demon Hunters. So she's on the Kelly Clarkson show, and she says, I have identity issues. And I was like, oh, okay. She's like, because I'm Korean, but I'm American, but I'm also Texan. I'm like, okay, understood. But now throw in, you're raised by white people. You live in different countries, different cultures, different languages. The layers get even deeper, right?
I mean, it's beyond TCK, right? Which I talked about because I did a solo episode, was my last episode, about TCK and like going to an international school and stuff. But it's like, I don't even, what is it? Like, you're like a TCK, like generations removed. Like, I don't even know what you are.
But what Scott said, he's like, what's interesting about this is that everyone will relate to it, and it doesn't matter who you are. Because we're going to talk about the mental health issues. We're going to talk about struggles and the identity issues, and all adoptees, regardless of who you are, feel abandonment and all these things. But he says there are so many elements to this that it's like, he says, it's going to be very hard for me to believe that someone wouldn't want to pay to have this made.
I also feel like another piece that might be a lot harder, and I don't know if that's what you will uncover, but there's going to be a lot of avoidance of accountability. Like, whatever the reason is, I think it will be quite difficult to get someone to come on and admit that they gave up or allowed for 3 babies to be taken, or given away, or that is a difficult thing to get someone to be like, yep, that was me, and I'll come on camera and talk about it. I think that the accountability piece might be difficult.
Agreed. And I think within the culture also, even within birth parents, a lot of them, all of them live in shame, right?
Yeah.
But most of them don't want to relive that, right? So I've known so many CADs that, like Samantha and her sister, right? In the movie Twinsters, they find their birth mother. Spoiler. I mean, I don't know if you're going to watch the movie now, but
I feel very drawn to watch it now. Yeah.
Well, even if you know this, it's still a roller coaster, but like, they find their birth mother and she denies having given birth. Or I have my friend Chris, who found his birth father, and then he was like, I have a new family. They don't know about you. I'm glad you're okay, but never contact me again. So it's like, that stuff sucks. Or Reb, her sister is they're both Korean adoptees, but from different families. And so she found out, her sister found her family in Korea, and they had like, I think it was like five sisters. It's a large number of girls, and she was the one that was given. So, and she met them, and one of the sisters she met talks to her. She's like, us giving you up completely destroyed our family, right? Because we remember going and dropping you off, and as your sisters, we were very confused. Why are you keeping all of us and you're giving her up, right? And they said it fractured their family because,
of course,
yeah. So it's like, that stuff is pretty fucked up, right? There was a twin in LA who's a rapper. He found out that he's a identical twin, and his family kept the brother and gave him up, right?
Yeah, I know a situation where someone was put up for adoption because the parents weren't, well, not even parents, and it was an underage teenage pregnancy situation. So the child was put up for adoption, and then like a good 15 or more years later, not a teenager anymore, happily married, has a child. It's a very happy family, and the child that was put up for adoption did the DNA testing. It was like Ancestry or 23andMe or something. Tracked down the family, and then like that was hugely complicated for everyone. The husband and child that was wanted had no idea and it's a whole thing. Like it just, there's so many adoption stories that are just like,
it's so nuanced. But yeah, I'm excited to see where it might take off. And like I said, if I can get someone to pay for it, because I was going to do this out of my own money, and I'm like, and Kelly even said, she's like, Chris, do not do that.
No, and what a gift, right? Like, I think just that energy of knowing that you were going to do that anyway, and that the universe is like going to facilitate it for you, because it's so, you're supposed to do this. This will be so big for you. I know, like, things that we've talked about for you right now with like dating and wanting to pour your energy into something, and like, I just feel like this will peel back so many layers and take you to a level of healing that, like, it's just going to be, it's an important thing for you to do before you like go to another chapter in your life, you know?
Well, I've started realizing the longer I wait, the harder I think it's going to be to find information.
That too.
Yeah, I just want to kind of get it done. And so, yeah, I mean, it's weird because it's going back to not like manifesting, but I can see it in my mind. I can see what this is going to look like. And Samantha even said, she's like, you could consider like a series, right? Like if this becomes like a 7, 8, 9 episode Netflix series, that could also be compelling, right? But there's lots of ways you can spin this in terms of how you want to make it. But she said, look, you need to have an opinion, right? That's most important when you make a film.
Yeah.
Regardless of what people agree or think of it, right? You just need to have your opinion. And she says, look, I disagree with your brother, Jeremy. I think if the story is just about you guys, it can still be very compelling. But you can still talk about Korean adoption, but the only way that I could sell it to Jeremy is I said 50% of the doc was about Korean adoption. And Samantha's like, Chris, that's going to take you years because it's just such a vast topic, right?
Well, and I think that there's too many unknowns right now, right? You just don't know what you're going to focus on, like see how much of your story comes up. And if you find out that it was like the guy from your agency that where you were adopted from, maybe you meet other adoptees from there and you get their stories, or maybe it's a completely different reason. Do you know what I mean? So have you seen Philomena?
Philomena, that sounds familiar.
Oh. It's about it's Irish. It's like the adoption like scandals of how children were taken from their mothers in Ireland, like again teenage pregnancies, and it's a very religious country, and it was, if they were unmarried and they were underage, they would have to go to these like workhouses where they would have the babies, and then typically wealthy Americans would come in and adopt the kids, and the kids were just taken away, and these young women their kids were taken from them, and then it was based on a true story. Well, I mean, that definitely happened. I think the story of Philomena is true, and I think it's Judi Dench.
Okay.
Yeah, who is wonderful, and Steve Coogan.
Oh, he's awesome.
Yeah, and he plays like is he a journalist? I think that's like but anyway,
that sounds familiar. I feel like
it is heart-wrenching. It's heart-wrenching because there's all these flashback scenes, and like when they take the baby away, and she is like she's an old woman at this point, and she's remembering when she was younger, and it's like she's in her old age now, and she wants to find her son. So I don't know if Steve Coogan's a private investigator or a journalist, but they work together and they go to the US to like track down her son, and they get the whole story. But then in doing so, they go to Ireland, and they go to this like convent workhouse place that was run by nuns to get like the story of how was this child taken away from her. And what they found out was that thousands of women went through there, and there are thousands and thousands, and then also lots of them died. And so they go in the back, and there's like a graveyard, and there's all these unmarked graves, and like it is like my family watched it together. We watched it on a Christmas Eve a few years ago, and we were all like,
that kills Christmas. Oh my gosh.
Heartbreaking. It's really sad, but these things happen all the time. It's like so sad.
Yeah, Korea gave up over 160,000 babies in 3 decades.
Oh my God, that's so many.
Yeah, and so the conference I went to in 2020, there was a government official that had this video that they sent over, and he just basically said, he's like, look, we as a country live in tremendous shame for giving all of you up and fighting harder for you. So we've erected a lot of national parks just meant for adult adoptees. So we encourage you to come back, experience your motherland. But we live in shame. And I'm like, well, that's nice, But it's weird because they flew 3 birth mothers over and told their stories of the 3 most common reasons why women gave up children. Did I tell you about this?
I think that, yeah, you like went to like was it a conference?
Yeah, at Berkeley.
Yeah, and you cried a lot.
Yeah. So I told Samantha this, and I was getting choked up again. And she says, and I remember seeing her face, and she was unfazed. She's like, Chris, those stories are super sad, and they did happen. But did you ever stop to think that they flew these birth mothers over to try to paint a picture that they wanted to share and show, when that's not the whole story? Yes, those 3 situations did happen. But what about the sweeps? What about the children being stolen? Like, they don't talk about that. So she says,
and what do we know about the world right now is that should we trust the governments of any country? Probably not.
Probably not, right? So it's also like, from their standpoint, it's probably a PR nightmare, right? You know? So I thought, I'm like, damn it. Oh my gosh, you're right. Because they're trying
You're
to paint.
probably going to get some pushback.
Oh, I'm hoping we do.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
That's part of the drama.
Wow, I hadn't even considered that until now. Do you think that they'll be like, nope, travel visa denied?
Oh, I don't know about that. They sponsor so many trips for adult adoptees, right? So they're really encouraging us to come back. But when she said, Chris, didn't you take a second to think maybe these 3 women were curated, right? And it's manipulative at best.
Yeah, are you sure they weren't actresses?
No. They couldn't speak English. The emotions were very real, and they all said, look, these are our story. These are our stories. And they even said to us, and the translator, they're like, we live in so much shame for giving up our children. And we see all of you. Why would you come looking for us? Because we are terrible people. And it's like, oh God. So I also want to kind of talk about that side, right? Because for us as adoptees, we don't remember it, right? Even though it has lasting effects on us and it manifests in different ways. But what about the people that were adults and they have vivid memories
to make a horrible choice? Yeah.
So it's like they have a book. I forget the name of it. I've never been able to finish it, but it's literally, there's a service in Korea to help birth mothers. And so one of the exercises is writing a letter to that baby. They know that the baby's probably never going to read it, but they write a letter, right? As kind of this cathartic way of just releasing it.
Yeah.
And
I remember you telling me that.
This book is just these letters. And I'm like,
no,
I couldn't get through the first letter. I was like, no, there's no physical way that I'm going to finish this book. So it's intriguing. It's a lot, but I feel like also Samantha said, like, you need to find an experienced producer, because not only will they help you get this made, but you need to think about distribution. You need to think about film festivals.
Yeah, and the storytelling, like it needs to be, the angles need to be right and the focus on the right scenes in the right places, know where to cut it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll see. It was a good conversation.
Okay. Well, those are some pretty big updates.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
there's also a third one that's a maybe, that's a new development.
Yeah. So I'm like 99%. And the thing is like, I've never identified as a dog person.
So the third thing is that Chris is thinking about getting a dog. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
We always had cats as an adult, right? We had lots of animals growing up, but I just always thought dogs are too needy and and like they're just so dependent on you. And I think it was just a story I was telling myself. And I've had cats for a long time, and I was thinking about a year ago to get new cats, and I was like, oh, I travel so much and I'm not traveling with a cat. And do I want to incur expenses having those cats, be watched or whatever? But then I also thought about, like, I'm at a point in my life where I really enjoy being alone now, which is also a double-edged sword because sometimes I'll just almost be alone too much, right? Like I'll just stay home and I'll be antisocial. But then I was like, obviously being alone and being lonely are two different things. And now it's like I feel lots of moments, obviously at night, where I feel lonely. And I've been going on these coffee meetups with these women. I don't call them dates because I'm not really I'm just looking to get to know people.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very clear to everyone I grab coffee with, this is friendly. Like this is not a date. I just want to grab coffee and get to know you, right? And I realized very quickly that it's a lot of energy to try to pour into someone else or to make time for someone. And then to me, the reciprocation is just zero. And it's like this, I don't want to say ROI, but like there's zero return, right? Mm-hmm. I'm like, I'm not only spending my time.
Yeah, and it shouldn't be like that. You don't want it to be like a chore, right? Exactly. Or like an obligation.
Not at all. And I just don't feel connections with certain people. It's just not there. And I'm like, I'd rather pour all my energy into something that has nothing to do with myself or work, because I think I'm doing that already. And I go to therapy once a week, and I'm just in my routine, and I'm work and all these things are moving in the right direction. I want to really invest my time into something that's going to give me companionship. And then I was like, a dog is a lot of work, but that return would be like tenfold, right? Mm-hmm. So researching different breeds and stuff like that. And so I've narrowed it down to a mini long-haired dachshund. So, wiener dog. And so I just think they also look super weird, which I love, right?
I think it's so cute.
They're so cute and they're so sweet. Yes, like any breed, they have their pros and cons. But I think because I don't have to be anywhere ever, because I travel out of choice, mm-hmm. and all my friends that have this breed, they're great travelers as long as you teach them early, expose them early. But ultimately, it's like I like the companionship I had from my cats, but I'm like, a dog seems like a challenge to me, because it is every person I've talked to, it's like a 2-year-old, right? But it's not a human, right? So you can train this way faster than a 2-year-old. And more importantly, I talked to the breeder today, and she said, he's bigger than his sister and the other boys in the litter, but she's like, his father's 11 pounds, his mom's 10 pounds. So he's going to be roughly around there, which is still a tiny dog, right? Mm-hmm. Cornish Rex cat was like 15 pounds, right?
Jeez.
Yeah. So I'm like, yeah, this is fine. And I think also, I talked to my therapist this morning about it. I said, I think this would be good for me because I do believe I probably have commitment issues, right? And this is a commitment, right? And I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I'm like already trying to puppy proof this house or this apartment. Like, I'm looking at all that stuff, like where his playpen will be, and I'm going to crate train him, and like the whole thing, right?
Yeah, and you said that it because it has such little legs that it needs a ramp from the couch and the bed, yes, which is so cool.
Because they have something called IVDD, which is a disc issue. So if they get too heavy, or you allow them to jump from things or walk downstairs, you can develop disc issues. But yeah, if you're cautious of that, they can be fine. But yeah, I already looked at a ramp for the couch, which I think is super cute.
Yeah.
I've just looked up all this stuff, and I've researched the breed, and I'm still learning lots about it and learning how to train this specific breed, because they are very stubborn. But I'm just like, I just want my little buddy, right? Like, I think that's so great. And then my therapist says, look, it's whether or not you can, like, whether you think that traveling with this dog will enhance your experience. Because obviously there's logistical issues when traveling with any pet or child or whatever it is, right? So will it make that trip like, oh, I had that trip with my best friend, right? Or is it gonna be like, oh man, that was like challenging? And I said, ultimately, I think it depends on how you train the dog, right? Just to start early, be consistent. So I talked to one of my brothers, and he was like talking me out of it. He says it's a terrible idea. He said that it's a 15-year commitment. He says that because I'm single, it's the worst position to have a dog, because being single makes it more challenging. Like, he's making it sound like literally, he's like, you can't do it. Like, that's what it felt like,
Does that make you feel like challenge accepted?
Partly, but then
that's how I would react. I would be like, watch me.
Part of me is feeling like that, but then also I feel like it was just, the things that he was saying was just very condescending. And it was just like, it was just really negative. And then, and then last night I was like, oh my gosh, I guess I'm not going to do it. And then this morning I was like, no, I was at the gym. I talked to the gym owner and I said, Brittany, if I get a dog, can I bring him here? She's like, yeah, of course. I'm like, this is the only place I go. Coffee shops and gyms.
As long as you can bring it to the gym, it's good.
Pretty much good to go. I mean, minus the sauna, right? Like, I'm like, yeah, I can take this dog literally everywhere, which is only going to help the dog be accustomed to traveling and being around people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the idea of like doing a puppy class and like socializing it and doing all the training in terms of.
And maybe you'll meet a dog mom.
Scott, the director, actually said, Chris, I will tell you this. I got the most dates when I went to dog parks as a single man with a dog. And I was like,
yeah, I mean, I know so many of my guy friends that had that experience.
I don't see that happening for me, but I'm like, that's not why I'm getting a dog. But like, I'm like, okay, cool, So yeah, we'll see. But I'm going to see him next Friday, and I'm going to talk to the breeder in more depth about some of my, I would say they're more insecurities rather than reservations. But he would be available to pick up on March 14th.
Just over a month.
Yeah. And also, I'm like, for what I do, social media, like,
oh my gosh. Yes.
Right?
Oh my God, you're gonna like triple followers, and you already have a ton.
I could, like,
all the dog brands are gonna want to work with you.
I could expense it, right? Like,
yeah, totally.
And so this might have been premature, but I already have a handle.
Oh my gosh. You already own the dog. It's yours. It's your first reaction. And I've said it the whole time. It's your gut instinct. You want the dog.
Okay, so the handle, I told my best friend Frankie, he was kind of like, dude, change things. I was like, no, it's perfect. I looked it up and I was like, Beyond the Wiener is hilarious.
I can't believe that was available.
It was available.
Cool. Well, that's yours.
I have it. So it's there. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, there's just so many things. Like,
do you know what my handle used to be for my therapy page?
What?
So it's Helpful Conversations, which actually makes so much sense because therapist, coach, and podcast. Like, so I'm keeping it as that, and that's probably going to be my company name when I incorporate it. Anyways, prior to that, the reason why that became the handle was because it used to be musings from a therapist.
Okay.
Yeah, musings from a therapist. But my friend in the US was like, I can't find you. What's it called? And so I sent it to her and I said, musings from a therapist. And do you know that the word therapist, when it's broken in half, is the rapist, which I never thought about.
No, there's a funny SNL skit.
Yeah. Well, so she was searching for me and it was so long that it split it onto two lines in the search bar. So she was like, musings from the rapist? And I was like, oh my God, that's how I come up on a search. I got fell off the couch. So I was like, I'm changing it immediately. So I changed it to Helpful Conversations, which I also couldn't believe was available. And
yeah, that's weird. You got to look up the SNL skit. It's with, I want to say it's Norm Macdonald. It's old SNL. And I forget the actor's name, but he plays Sean Connery. And he's like, I'll take the rapist for 300. He's like, that's therapist. But it's so,
yeah, I was mortified. And I was like, oh my God, that's my title. Therapist.
I mean, I'm shocked that Beyond the Wiener was even available.
Yeah. But that one you should keep. That's good.
Yeah. Because there's that Jonah Hill movie where he's like, want to see my wiener? And like, he's like, I'm like, that's a funny audio file. I could be out with my wiener dog just shouting in public.
Have you thought of names?
Atticus.
Oh, I love it. From The you know who Atticus is, right? Atticus Finch.
Yes. From To Kill a Mockingbird.
There we go. Yeah, To Kill a Mockingbird. Yeah.
I liked Atticus. I mean, I did like Finch.
No, Atticus is cuter, especially for a little dog. That's really cute. Yeah.
So yeah.
Nice. Yeah, well, lots happening. And I think it just goes to show, like, circling back to the grounding, you're in your home, right? This is your home. You've found your footing, and all these wonderful developments are happening now.
And same for you, you know. I mean, I think that you are, I think transitional period is like an understatement, but I think it's all moving in the right direction. So
yeah, I mean, I've just been trying to figure out where I want to land, right?
Yep.
And it's been a process. I'm still working on it. I feel like I have like 50% of it figured out.
So when you say Spain, though, what part?
I'm not sure, but I did do you know what astrocartography is?
No.
So it's like astrology, but for your placements on a map of the world, essentially.
Got it.
Yeah. So anyways, Spain is like very strong for me. It's apparently the strongest place in Europe. And the strongest points for me are Barcelona or Valencia. Valencia and Barcelona are the two strongest points. I really like Barcelona. I don't know if I think it might be a bit.
When I went to Mallorca and then went to Barcelona, it was like two different, like it was night and day.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Mallorca, oh my God, it's like.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's just like, I was so dead set on Portugal, and I hadn't, I think I had ruled out Spain because I thought that they were making it too difficult for Brits because so many Brits fled there after Brexit. And then Spain made it really difficult for them, but they just announced a new visa, like literally 2 weeks ago. And their digital nomad visa is actually not nearly as complicated as Portugal's.
Okay.
So I'm like, why did I not? It just, Spain would have always been my first choice. I love Spain. I've spent so much time throughout my life in Spain.
But yeah, I'm sure we'll do another episode and maybe
with the dog.
So
yeah, well, I mean, it's working out. It's kind of been like every 6 months that we've done this. So let's see where we're at by late summer, and maybe you can have a little wiener dog on the call.
I will be sending you more pictures of Atticus.
Thank you for coming on and giving us another update. It's always good to chat. And I look forward to hearing all the developments as they continue. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of Career Congregation. I hope it gave you something to think about or inspired you in some way. If you enjoyed this conversation, please take a moment to like, subscribe, or share this episode with someone you think it might resonate with. Every bit of support helps. If you know someone who you think would make a great guest, please send them my way via the link in the show bio. And if you'd like to support the show and the work that I do, you can buy me a coffee via the coffee link also in the show bio. Thanks again, and I'll see you next week for another conversation about all things career.